Dave Polsky must love Spike because this is the second time he wrote an episode where the characters treat him as a king, first being over a barrel. And for example, in Feeling Pinkykin, Twilight took over his role as the comic relief abused character. No wonder he's my favorite writer. Now this is an episode I really have mixed feelings about. For one, this is a Spike episode and those always leave a bad taste in my mouth. But it's also the conclusion of the Equestria Games arc that carried over from season 3. The thing is that Equestria Games is the very first good Spike episode, but it really didn't need it to be this time. In the beginning of season 4, when we found out that the writers didn't forget about the games, what did we expect? I think the Equestria Games will be interrupted by Discord and the girls will have to fight him. I think it's going to be a huge two-parter about a sports event and some evil mafia organization. I think it's going to be an insignificant Spike episode about his confidence. Well, I didn't see it coming. It's like if Pinkie Pride happened in the episode when Fluttershy and Discord got together. You know, both ideas are interesting and I want to see them, but they get in each other's way. None of them can be enjoyable because the focus is always on the wrong side. A very good example for this is the relay race sequence. I don't know about you, but I was really looking forward to this. I was really intrigued by how are they going to solve this plot thread. And this race hyped me up for this episode so much. You can imagine my disappointment when I saw that the race of the century was interrupted by this.
Ms. Harshwinny, I know you're really busy, but
Spike, that's nice, but I want to watch. Yes, could you please just a little?
That's it.
There we go. I don't even care anymore. This isn't what you promised. The title is Equestria Games, not Spike ruins the Equestria Games, or I know I was supposed to write an episode about the Equestria Games, but I got a better idea. You wrote like 7 episodes this season. You don't need to write a 2-in-1 extra in the end. But let's talk about Spike. I think it's really funny how the Crystal Ponies treat him as a hero, and they call him Spike the Great and Glorious. It's a relief to see Spike in a situation like this, when he is on the bottom of the slapstick. So, he's trusted with the task of lighting the Equestria Games torch. He's happy to do it, but for some reason he gets stage fright, and that weakens his fire-breathing abilities. It makes sense since he's rarely the center of attention, so he doesn't really know how to handle stage fright. After a few minutes, Twilight can't see Spike embarrassing himself anymore, so she lights the torch with her magic for him. I really wanted to hate her for doing this, but she just wanted the best for Spike. She couldn't have known whether Spike can light it or not, and he was trying to light it for long enough. So, you can get away with it this time, Twilight. And the conclusion Spike gets from this is so awesome.
I can light fire with my mind.
The comedy is so good this episode, and it fits Spike perfectly.
No.
Tell him,
Because you
tell
can't.
him, tell him,
Oh, really?
tell him,
So how do you
tell
explain what
him,
happened down
tell
there in front
him,
of thousands
tell
and
him.
thousands of... I did it, Spike. I cast a spell to do it for you.
You're
In front of
such a bitch for
thousands and-
telling him. After finding out that he was unable to light the torch, Spike really wants to contribute something to the games. He feels like he owes this to the Crystal Ponies somehow. He wants to feel worthy of the praises. Thus, we are presented with the infamous Cloudsdale anthem scene. And it's so dragged out and embarrassing. Well, it does a good job at showing the atmosphere and representing Spike's humiliation, but maybe it's too good. It feels so bad watching it. Everyone just wishes it to end already. But there are some saving graces here. Like Pinkie Pie, the lady who covers her kid's ears, and that baby who starts to cry at the end of it. Still, I can understand how the ponies didn't bind him and throw him off a cliff after this. He got away easy. After this, Spike gives up, and he doesn't want to be seen by anyone. The CMC tries to comfort him, but they fail. And after them, Twilight comes in and drags him out to make him feel better, and to watch the ice archery finals. I cannot believe that this event is still allowed in the games. The string of bows are made out of the tendons of hoofed animals. You would think that in the 1001st celestial year our society will be advanced enough to forget these barbaric traditions. And I really hope that after this year's incident, we'll never see this diabolical sport in the games again. I was there 4 years ago, this year, and Celestia helped me. I will protest there when the next games will come, because I can't rest until this impony behavior still have the roots in some pony's heart. These gates are needed from a storytelling standpoint, so Spike is the only one who can stop the huge iceberg from falling on the crowd. These plot points are needed when a huge percentage of the characters can use magic. The writers pretty much wrote themselves into a corner when they put magic in the show. I appreciate that they are trying to explain why the unicorns can't use it now, and it's perfectly acceptable here from a storytelling and a writing point of view. Spike saves the day in a really awesome way, and finally he gets the praise he wished for since the torch incident, and it's completely warranted too.
I think I get it. You keep saying you let every pony down, but we all keep saying you didn't. You know who was disappointed in you, Spike? You. And only you can make it right with you again.
Who are you, the character development fairy? How do you know how he feels? That's my job. Shut up! So, since Spike couldn't live up to his own expectation towards himself, now that he exceeded them, he doesn't see it as an achievement. And Twilight, who are you to talk? You always talk about how you're nothing special and how you want to be treated just like everyone else. When you are an alicorn princess, savior of 2 dimensions, face your own hypocrisy before giving advices like this. But I think this lesson is good. Sometimes if you are good at something, it's hard to accept praises. It's great how this lesson ties into Inspiration Manifestations lessons. They are both about praises and confidence, criticism, but they are about the opposite sides of the coin. In Inspiration Manifestation, we talked about honest praises and criticism. It showed how harmful it can be if someone only hears good of herself, and how important it is to control your honesty. If something is good, don't call it perfect. But at the same time, if something is perfect, don't be afraid of calling it that. And here we are on the receiving end of the praises, but we didn't change in character. It's still Spike. Am I the only one who thinks that's brilliant? Spike wants to be worthy of the praises he gets because he doesn't see himself that great after he couldn't light the torch. He takes the praises too seriously, and he wants to change himself to live up to them. This is why I think this is the best Spike episode so far. But that doesn't mean the misrepresentation of the Equestria game doesn't bother me. We've only seen 2 events and they both had something to do with Spike. Making this a Spike episode shows that they didn't have any interesting stories to tell. They had 26 episodes this season. They could have made 2 episodes when the Equestria games were in progress. The first one could have been this if the games didn't end when the episode was over. And maybe the next one could have been another story using the backdrop of the games as well. Think about it. This Spike episode idea won. It was the best they could come up with. Maybe we don't want to see what they plan to do instead. Still, Equestria Games was a missed opportunity and a broken promise. After 2 seasons of build-up, I really hope to see sports events in the focus of the story and a sport-based villain. But strangely, maybe this is the same feeling the main 6 had at the end of season 1, when the Grand Galloping Gala ended. Maybe we built up our expectations too much to these games, and the writers knew that, so they decided it doesn't even worth to try to live up to those expectations in the first place. I don't think that was the right decision. Lastly, I would like to talk about the relay race again. I didn't like how they handled it. In the beginning, Rainbow stated that she and her team doesn't have a chance of winning gold. I was glad she admitted it, but at the race, Rainbow was unrealistically close to winning. It just makes it worse. It means she's twice as fast as the Wonderbots combined. I would have been okay with the silver medal if the distance between Rainbow and What's-Her-Face would have been bigger. To be honest, the bronze medal would have been more realistic in this situation, but still, it was a pleasant surprise that they didn't win, although they were too close. But I was glad that they were happy with the silver medal. Second place is awesome, and a huge achievement to Snowflake, Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash. and they have every right to be happy. But at the end of the episode, they ruined it. As it turns out, there is a medal competition that no one mentioned before. The town whose contestants get the more medals, bronze, silver, gold, anything, wins. And Ponyville wins this competition with just one medal. Rainbow Dash even holds up her medal that she shared with her team, and she proudly states that it was their medal that helped Ponyville win. Firstly, this is the quantity over quality lesson that I find horrible, and secondly, this is a happy ending. It teaches the viewer that being second isn't enough. You shouldn't be happy just because you're second best at something. You have to win in some way to be happy, and Rainbow Dash's team had to win in some way as well in order for this episode to end properly. This undermines the maturity of that silver medal. It's a miracle that they qualified in the first place, and it's an even bigger miracle that they got a medal, and a silver one at that. That should have been plenty enough. A lot of us will never win in our entire life. Winning is for a separate few. And it's great if you want to better yourself, but it's also important to see the value of the second place, or the fourth, or the eighth. And I am sure that without this medal count competition, the episode wouldn't be any less. Equestria Games gets a 3 out of 4. Do you hear that?